don't forget, like basketball, Tractor Supply knows that a winning season takes practice, teamwork, and a can-do attitude. It's Bracket Challenge season, and the Fox Sports Radio Bracket Challenge is live right now. So you're the smartest person in the room. Be sure to complete your bracket at foxsportsradio.com right now. The winning bracket, Fox Sports Radio Bracket Challenge, will win a $2,500 gift card to Tractor Supply, one of the coolest stores around, and a perfect bracket will win you $1 million. Fill out your bracket now and until Thursday morning before the games begin. Visit foxsportsradio.com to register, get rules, and fill out your bracket. It's all sponsored by Tractor Supply for life out here. Our lead to begin the festivities here, that's right, Selection Sunday. Well, now it's like St. Patty's Day, but Selection Sunday and a rite of passage taking place there. We assume that you watched and or at least heard the chatter, the talk, but maybe not. So to give you the thumbnail recap of things you may or may not be aware, Auburn, which occasionally has a good football team and lately has had a good basketball team, the Auburn Tigers, led by the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year, a real broom. They were chosen as the number one overall seed for the NCAA tournament, so they're at the very top of your big board. Followed after that by, from the Atlantic Coast Conference, you've got Duke. From the Big 12, yes, the Big 12.
Number two.
Well, no, that was Duke was number 2. See, but then Houston, they're number 3. So
number
Houston,
3.
yeah, in the Big 12 there, and Florida also, the Gators from the Southeastern Conference, they're number 4. So we don't have the number 4. Apparently we don't have the number 4. So all those the number 1 seeds for the selection committee. And a lot of controversy. I don't know why there's still controversy, but there is. Anyway, we'll get to that later. But the selection committee favored Auburn at the very top there. They won the SEC regular season, putting more weight on the regular season title. They lost 3 of their final 4 games. Also a loss to Duke when they went head-to-head. But the selection committee saying the pearl of college basketball, Bruce Pearl and Auburn at the very top. Now, the gambling market, which is generally a pretty good gauge of at least where people's money is invested, the gambling market has Duke and Florida as the popular pick by popular people, which is not surprising. Duke traditionally, even though they don't have Coach K walking through that door anymore, Duke always one of the more wagered teams in college basketball's March Madness. Florida, not as much, but the SEC has now, if you look at what they've done here, they have won a bunch of seeds. I think more money coming in. I saw the stat going around, more money for the Southeastern Conference from NCAA tournament teams, setting a record. But they hadn't won the men's basketball championship going way back to 2012. I was a little kid in 2012 last time the SEC won. But they did make the history with 14 teams. 14 of the 68 teams are from the Southeastern Conference. So when you start watching the tournament, most people start on Thursday, although there are play-in games in Dayton prior to that. Now, Carolina, that'd be North Carolina, and Texas, they slid off the bubble, and they got in. And Indiana, the Hoosiers, Mike Woodson out as coach, and they're out. They also apparently turned down the NIT, which is still around also, which is fascinating. I was having a conversation in the hallway with DeSager when he was taking off to go to bed, and we were talking about the NIT and what that Fugazi thing's all about. That's still around, but Indiana's not going to that. West Virginia, people up in arms about West Virginia. Boise State also not getting in. So let us discuss the question for the esteemed panel, which you are part of. What are you most looking forward to as the tournament gets going here and the real start of the men's college basketball season here in 2025? What are you most looking forward to? So my observations, I've got biblical, Jackson Pollock, and tagline. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to go cowabunga dude is what we're going to do. It's a surfing term. All right, so Number one. That's right. Well, we put these all together. We'll make the razzle dazzle. But I am all about the drama, as you know. I live for the drama, and it makes good talk radio. And so we're looking for that. We're looking for that part of it. And as a general rule of thumb, we don't talk too much college basketball because it's often narrowcasting. It's not broadcasting. But we are allowed this week to break it all down, and so we'll dig deep. In the past 20 years, this is one of those things that has changed in my lifetime. Right? We have seen famine in this sport. I've witnessed it in my life. When I first got into this business in sports radio, we talked a lot of college basketball. I remember there used to be this thing called Big Monday, and it mattered. It meant something. It was a big deal. And along the way, for multiple reasons, college basketball has gone down, 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 down. But what used to be talked about regularly, at least a couple times a week, has now been whittled down like you're cutting away at a piece of wood. And it's been whittled down now, and it really is just a 3-week sport. That's it. That's all, 3 weeks. Now, there's a hardos that watch it all the time, but they're the minority, not the majority of people. And there is a biblical drought of stardust in college basketball. That's the thing. And if you look, and I don't do lists, as you know, I don't believe in lists, but if you look at Benny's big board, which is not a list, of must-see TV, Benny's big board must-see TV, based on what I believe will move the needle in talk radio over the next couple of weeks, what would be good for business. And we don't have the usual big name coaches that were the staple of college basketball. But college basketball is a lot like baseball. There used to be in baseball these bigger than life managers, and they're pretty much all gone. Every manager is vanilla, just boring, dull, no personality, just a zero. College basketball, a lot of that is gone as well. A lot of that is gone. We lost Coach K. He's not dead, but he's not coaching. Jim Boeheim, Jay Wright quit early. He didn't want to deal with the NIL stuff. He's out. So the big-name coaches you look to right away, and there's still some left. St. John's has got to be at the top. The Johnnies, who haven't been really all that good since the 80s in college basketball. But Rick Pitino, old NBA coach, guy bounced all over the place. Pitino, the Pitino effect, if you will, is at the very top of Big Ben's big board. But they wink and a nod to Coach Cal at Arkansas now as he continues his vagabond coaching career. Dan Hurley and Connecticut. Dan Hurley, who believes in all kind of mystical voodoo-type boogaloo things, walking around the court with garlic and different things. I saw somebody sent me a link to, I guess he was on 60 Minutes, which apparently is still on, and they featured him a couple weeks ago, and he has all that like crazy stuff that he's into to try to get the good spirits to support the UConn basketball program and get rid of the evil spirits. I thought that was interesting. And I was at Bruce Pearl. We had Bruce Pearl on back when he was coaching at Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago, and we had him on as a guest back in the day. And those are the charismatic characters, the coaches in college basketball. I'm sure there's some other ones. Tom Izzo, obviously. And now flipping the page on that. So from a handicapping perspective, right, from taking a look at the picking of the games, the bracketology, as some nerds like to call it, how have the NIL deals changed things from that perspective when you're handicapping the tournament? So there's a lot of money to be made here, a lot of money to be made regarding name, image, and likeness. And if you do well as a kind of sidebar story in the tournament and you're at one of these smaller schools, you can then get swallowed up by a Moby Dick school that will pay you a lot of money to go somewhere else. And back in the day, you were guaranteed roughly 90 to 95% of the top seeds were advanced. There's always been upsets. That some years there are a few more than others, but generally the rule is like 90 to 95% of the top seeds would advance. Back in the day, now it's often complete, just a complete toss-up in a lot of this, and the evolution. Now it is more like a Jackson Pollock painting. If you know the arts, right? Jackson Pollock would just toss paint on the canvas, and snotty elitist people would pay big money for a Jackson Pollock painting, which is something that you think you're like a 3-year-old could do, and people would pay a lot of money. Right? I was here, there, and everywhere, and he was the forefather of the drip technique. And when I look at college basketball, a lot of it is the drip technique, that it's just a lot of stuff here, there, and everywhere, and that's it. There's instability, and it's all over the canvas. It's all over the place. But if you look at the overall rating, we mentioned Auburn was at the very top. They were the top seed in the tournament. But when you peek behind it, and Duke was there, number 2, Houston, then Florida. But I always like the very bottom. And there is a team, I believe there's only one this year that made the tournament with a losing record, and that would be St. Francis. Literally, some dude named St. Francis made the tournament, and they were 16-17. God bless the conference tournament. So there we go. All right, last word here. So, taking a couple of steps back and looking at the big picture here, where is your overall level of interest in the 2025 March Madness as we get set to get the party started? So, on the Maller scale of interest, the number one measurement in all of this, the Maller scale of interest, 1 to 10, with 10 being OMG, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I am at a 3. Okay, I'm at a 3. And I think I'm going high. I think a lot of you are below that. I think you might be like -3. I'm at a 3. And I'm being generous. I am being generous when I say I'm at a 3. And it's been this way for the last couple of years. And I'm only somewhat into it. Mentioned the coaches. I'm looking for the story. I got the talk show to worry about every day, so I'm worried about that. And it really is the tagline from this old show, The Wide World of Sports. Spanning the globe, right, to bring you the thrill of victory and, more importantly, the agony of defeat. And there are certainly going to be a number of OMG, what the F happened moments in the next couple of weeks, and the human drama-o-rama of athletic competition, which is good. And that makes it great. Again, it's been marginalized, the NCAA tournament, but it'll be cool for the next couple of weeks. And as I often have done in the past, and I used to bet on a lot of the teams that had the lottery picks. I stopped around the time Kevin Durant was at Texas and they got upset by USC in like their first game. I said, screw that. I'm never doing that again. And I really have been pretty good about that. But I will watch more. I'll key in more on the players as a public service to you for the NBA draft, which is coming up in the summertime. And it's all about Cooper Flagg of Duke, the kid from Maine who's at Duke right now and head and shoulders, literally, above everyone else in college basketball, projected to be the top pick in the draft, and teams tanking like the Utah Jazz and others to try to get their hands on Cooper Flagg, who was injured in the ACC tournament, but from what I was reading, he will be able to play once Duke gets started. And it is interesting to note that if you look at many of the mock drafts in the NBA, a team that is projected to have 2 of the top 5 picks in the draft from Piscataway, New Jersey, Rutgers, and they didn't even make the NCAA tournament. How embarrassing is that? How do you have 2 players that the NBA says are worthy of being top 5 picks this summer, and you suck so much you can't even get into the tournament? That's embarrassing for Rutgers. And then some of the other teams, the players that stand out that you're going to kind of keep an eye on. Baylor is in VJ Edgecombe is a guard who's projected to be a lottery pick, and also from Texas. They got in. Trey Johnson is also projected. He's also a guard projected to be drafted in the lottery. So those are some of the things I'm looking forward to. Am I right or wrong? I think my level of interest at 3 is higher than your level of interest, but maybe I'm not correct.